Let's make a start. Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari Jai Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Giravardhari Jai Gopi Janavallabha Jai Giravardhari Shodanandan Vraj Jana Ranjana Shodanandan Vraj Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Gyan Timirtasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshur Urmilitam Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvetam Savadutam Krishna Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutadevi Pranmami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatubhrihascha Kripa Sindhuvevacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavo Namo Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Dishatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasdi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Mukam Kroti Vachalam Pangyung Langyate Grim Yat Kirpatam Vande Shri Gurun Din Taranam Paramananda Madham Shirtaneshwaram Hari Om Tassat Narayan Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottam Devim Saraswati Myasam Tato Jemaduriyat Nasta Pratisha Abdreshu Nityam Bhagavad-Sevayā Bhagavad-Gita Bhakti Bhavati Neshtaki. Okay. So last time we're talking about the 4 regulations, how they are very, very important. They are for our protection and they are the pillars of sin. They have to be avoided at all cost. And most the people, that's what they do. They're following these 4 sinful activities, and that's the their sense gratification which binds them to this world. And so we need to get out of that and get into the mode of goodness, because if you're not in the mode of goodness, then you cannot really make progress, because basically you're putting water over the fire of your bhakti. It's like lighting a fire and then putting water over it, it will go out. So if you're purifying yourself through bhakti. Bhakti is not the end goal, right? We're trying to achieve, we have a prayojan, that a goal, so the bhakti is the process. So if you keep messing with the process, then you're not going to move forward. So it's very important that we use that bhakti process to move forward. Make sure the fire is always lit, always burning. And it's like I said, that you can go in the mode of goodness, and then it's like going to the airport and not catching a flight. What was the point of going to the airport? Better just stay home, get some extra sleep. So like that. So if you come to the airport, then make sure you catch the flight as well. If the doors of the prison have been opened for you, make sure you get out. Don't stand in the doorway. So these are some of the examples. And then we were discussing that Maharaj Parikshit, he was ready to kill Kali. And let's see what happens next. So verse 28, I think it is 29. Should be 29.
Yeah.
Finish at 28. Okay. Tom jigamasum abhipritya vihaya anarpa lanchanam tatpad moolam shirasa samgad bhaya viha vilaha. So tam him jighamasum, willing to kill, abhipritya, knowing it well, vihaya, leaving aside, anarpa lanchanam, the dress of a king, tatpad moolam, at his feet, shirasa, by the head, samagat, fully surrendered, bhaya viha vilaha, under pressure of fearfulness. So when the personality of Kali understood that the king was willing to kill him, he at once abandoned the dress of a king and under pressure of fear completely surrendered to him, bowing his head. So the personality of Kali is quite smart, that he didn't want to take any chances, he didn't want to retaliate. So the best thing to do is to just surrender to the king and explain his position to the king, and he would understand. So the royal dress of the personality of Kali is artificial. The royal dress is suitable for a king or kshatriya. But when a lower class man artificially dresses himself as a king, his real identity is disclosed by the challenge of a bona fide kshatriya like Maharaj Parikshit. A real kshatriya never surrenders. So he was dressed like a king, like a kshatriya, like a ruler, like a warrior, but soon as he's put under pressure, he gave that up and surrendered. He accepts the challenge of his rival kshatriya and he fights either to die or to win. Surrender is unknown to a real kshatriya. In the age of Kali, there are so many pretenders dressed and posed like administrators or executive heads, but their real identity is disclosed when they are challenged by a real kshatriya. Therefore, when the artificially dressed personality of Kali saw that to fight Maharaj Parikshit was beyond his ability, he bowed down his head like a subordinate and gave up his royal dress. So, good move there by Kali. And Kali is mentioned that also quickly responded by revealing his identity and completely surrenders to Maharaj Parikshit. Now, if the bull sees the situation as unfair when Maharaj Parikshit let Kali free, because he surrendered, and Kshatriya never kills a person who has surrendered, then the bull should not see that as an unfair. There has to be detachment. You should not find fault, especially when the bull did not find fault in Kali and thought he himself could be to blame. So the bull didn't blame in the first place, so why should he find it unfair? I need to change. So how Maharaj Parikshit handles Kali is up to him. So the bull's business and Kali's business are separate. That separation and detachment has to be cultivated. That's why it's recommended that we should not point fingers and not blame others. We should take responsibility as well for our own actions and work on ourselves rather than trying to change other people. We should do, see what we can do to be a better person. That's 29. Patitam padayo viraha kirpya din vatsalha sharnyo navadich shalokya aha chedam hasan iva. So patitam, fallen, padayo, at the feet, viraha, the hero, kripya, out of compassion, deen vatsalha, kind to the poor, sharnaya, one who is qualified to accept surrender, na, not avadit, did kill, shalokya, one who is worthy of being sung, aha, said, cha, also, idam, this, hasan, smiling, eva, like. So Maharaj Parikshit was qualified to accept surrender and worthy of being sung in history, did not kill the poor, surrendered and fallen Kali, but smiled compassionately, for he was kind to the poor. So, any bona fide king, they did not, they were compassionate. Even an ordinary Kshatriya does not kill a surrendered person. And what to speak of Maharaj Parikshit, who was by nature compassionate and kind to the poor. So Kali had the advantage. He was smiling because the artificially dressed Kali had disclosed his identity as a lower class man. I did it very quickly, didn't have to punish him. As quickly came out and disclosed his identity. And he was thinking how ironic it was that although no one was saved from his sharp sword when he desired to kill, the poor lower class Kali was spared by his timely surrender. Yeah, did very quickly. Maharaj Parikshit's glory and kindness are therefore sung in history. He was a kind and compassionate emperor, fully worthy of accepting surrender even from his enemy. Thus the personality Kali was saved by the will of providence. And as you know, Maharaj Parikshit, every time we talk about Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, we talk about Maharaj Parikshit. We can't separate Maharaj Parikshit from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So that's 30. So Kali did the right thing. He surrendered. Maharaj Parikshit did the right thing by not killing the surrendered soul. Now, if Kali can be saved by the process of surrender, he had full faith in this, then why can't we do the same? Sarva Dharma Pratajya. So we know how great Krishna is. If Kali thought that Maharaj Parikshit was great, we know how great Krishna is. And Krishna says himself, surrender to me. That's the only way. Then that's what we should do, surrender to him. Otherwise we will suffer our fate. So that's the comparison. Because we are in the Kali Yuga, we have been overtaken by Kali. It's the effects of we are Kali as well. Right? We have been Kalinized, so to speak. And so we have to surrender just like Kali. Raja Uvacha Nate Gurukesha Yashodaranam Bhadanjale Vyabhayam Asti Kinchit Navartitayam Abhyam Bhavata Kathanchan Kshetre Madhye Tvam Adharma Bandhu. So Raja Uvacha, the king said, not te yo Gurakesha Arjun Yasha Dharanam, of us who inherited the fame, Bhada Anjalehe, one with folded hands. Very certainly, Bhayam, fear, Asti, there is Kinchit, even a slight, neither Vartit Avyam, can be allowed to live. Bhavatha, by you, Kat Anchana, by all means, Kshetre, in the land, Madhye, in my kingdom, Tvam, you, Adharma Bandhu, the friend of religion. The king thus said, we have inherited the fame of Arjun. Therefore, since you have surrendered yourself with folded hands, you need not fear for your life. But you cannot remain in my kingdom, for you are the friend of religion. See how Maharaj Parikshit, every time he makes a decision, he makes a move, he has his ancestors in mind. He's making sure that he doesn't let their reputation down, and he makes sure that he's doing the right thing by him. As a Kshatriya, he's doing the right thing as well. And he's thinking, well, what would Arjun do? What would Yudhishthira Maharaj do in a time like this? So he's taking note from their reputation and their decision making process. So the personality of Kali, who is a friend of all kinds of religiosities, may be excused if he surrenders. But in all circumstances, he cannot be allowed to live as a citizen in any part of a well-based state. So for so far what he's done, he surrendered, so he's been let off for his mistakes. Or are they mistakes? Now this is what Kali does, that's his nature. But that doesn't mean that now that he surrendered, we'll let him continue doing what he was doing, and then he can come and surrender again. Doesn't make any sense. So the Pandavas were entrusted representatives of the personally regarded Lord Krishna, who practically brought into being the battle of Kurukshetra, but not for any personal interest. He wanted an ideal king like Maharaj Yudhishthira and his descendants like Maharaj Parikshit to rule the world. And therefore, a responsible king like Maharaj Parikshit could not allow the friend of irreligiosity to flourish in his kingdom at the cost of the good fame of the Pandavas. That is the way of wiping out corruption in the state, and not otherwise. The friends of irreligiosity should be banished from the state, and that will save the state from corruption. So that's 31. So Maharaj Parikshit spared the life of Kali, but he was going to administer a level of punishment to protect the citizens. There needs to be some consequences, otherwise others will follow and be careless basically. So you have to be careful that although the Kali has surrendered, Maharaj Parikshit did not kill him, but there has to be some consequences to someone's actions. So something has to be done to make sure the mistakes are not repeated. It's like when a person goes to court, for a crime, the judge may be lenient, but has to give him something, some kind of punishment to set an example, and also make sure the person understands that you cannot keep on doing or repeating your mistakes. There has to be some responsibility. So Maharaj Parikshit is going to make sure that these mistakes are not repeated like they have been so far. There has to be some kind of consequence to the mistakes. You cannot reward, first of all, you cannot reward people for when they make mistakes. Bad behavior should not be rewarded. This is what we say. Sometimes children behave badly, and you think you can just win them over by giving them some kind of reward. But that's not the way to do things. There has to be some consequence. Do not reward bad behavior. So 32. Yeah, okay. Tvam vartamanam nardeva deheshav anu pravritoyam adharma pugha lobo nirtam choryam anaryam amho jeheshta chamaya kalheshta dambha. So tvam, you, vartamanam, while present, nardeva, a man, god or a king, deheshu, in the body, anuparvitaha, taking place everywhere, ayam, all these adharma, religious principles, pukaha, in the masses, lobha, greed, anartham, falsity, choriam, robbery, anarayam, incivility, amaha, treachery, jeshta, misfortune, cha, and maya, cheating, kalaha, quarrel, cha, and damba, vanity. So, if the person of Kali religion is allowed to act as a man god or an executive head, certainly religious principles like greed, falsehood, robbery, incivility, treachery, misfortune, cheating, quarrel, and vanity will abound. So Kali cannot be allowed to rule. The principles of religion, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, the four pillars we discussed, as we have already discussed, may be followed by the follower of any faith. There is no need to turn from Hindu to Mohammedan to Christian or some other faith and thus become a renegade and not follow the principles of religion. The Bhagavatam religion urges following the principles of religion. The principles of religion are not the dogmas or regulative principles of a certain faith. Such regulative principles may be different in terms of time and place concerned. One has to see whether the aims of religion have been achieved. Sticking to the dogmas and formulas without attaining the real principles is not good. A secular state may be impartial to any particular type of faith, but the state cannot be indifferent to the principles of religion, as above mentioned. But in the age of Kali, the executive heads of state will be indifferent to such religious principles, and therefore, under their patronage, the opponents of religious principles such as greed, falsehood, cheating, pilfering will naturally follow, and so there will be no meaning to propaganda trying to stop corruption in the state. Okay. So the modern leaders are not representing Maharaj Parikshit, so Kali thrives more and more prevalent. So unless the principles of religion are followed by the heads of state, the influence of Kali will increase. Any culture that is followed by the heads of state, it trickles down to the citizens as well. It's just whatever a good man or not a good man does, others will follow. Whatever the leaders do, others will follow. And Krishna mentioned that in the Bhagavad-Gita, that it's automatic. Whatever the leaders are doing, whatever the parents are doing, children think it's okay to do the same, isn't it? So we don't have to go too far to see that example. Whatever the parents are doing, children thinks that's there's nothing wrong with doing that because everybody else is doing it in the house. So what's wrong if I do it to do the same thing? So the leaders have a big responsibility towards the people below them. 33. Na vartit avyam tad adharma bandho dharmena satyena cha vartit avye brahma varte yatra jajanti yagne yagneshwaram yagya vitan vignaha. So not vartit avyam, deserve to remain, tat, therefore adharma, religiosity, bandho, friend, dharmena, with religion, satyena, with truth, cha, also vartitavya, being situated in, brahme avarte, place where sacrifice is performed, yatra ve janti, duly performed, yagnahi, by sacrifices and devotional services, yagna or yagya ishwaram, onto the Supreme Lord, the person of the Godhead. So yagya, sacrifice, vitan, spreading, viganaha, experts. Therefore, O friend of religion, you do not deserve to remain in a place where experts perform sacrifices according to truth and religious principles for the satisfaction of Supreme Personality of Godhead, because they don't mix. Yogeshwar, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the beneficiary of all kinds of sacrificial ceremonies. Such sacrificial ceremonies are prescribed differently in the scriptures for different ages. In other words, sacrifice means to accept the supremacy of the Lord and thereby perform acts by which the Lord may be satisfied in all respects. The atheists do not believe in the existence of God and they do not perform any sacrifice for the satisfaction of the Lord. Any place or country where the supremacy of the Lord is accepted and the sacrifice is performed is called Brahmavrat. There are different countries in different parts of the world, and each and every country may have different types of sacrifice to please the Supreme Lord, but the central point in pleasing Him is ascertained in the Bhagavatam, and it is truthfulness. The basic principle of religion is truthfulness, and the ultimate goal of all religion is to satisfy the Lord. In this age of Kali, so when we're doing bhakti, we're doing the processes, we're following a sadhana, we're doing a chanting, basically we're trying to satisfy the Lord, we're trying to please the Lord. Is the Lord pleased? That's why everything has to be done in the best way we can, so the Lord can be pleased. In this age of Kali, the greatest common formula of sacrifice is the Sankirtan Yajna. That's what will satisfy the Lord in the Kali Yuga. That is the opinion of the experts who know how to propagate the process of Yajna. Lord Chaitanya preached this method of Yajna, and it is understood from this verse that the sacrificial method of Sankirtan Yajna may be performed anywhere and everywhere in order to drive away the person of Kali and save human society from falling prey to the influence of the age. So we may sacrifice our wealth, our time and energy. The main thing is to recognize the supremacy of the Lord and do sacrifice for His pleasure. Just like fasting on Ekadashi, fast is for pleasure of Krishna. It's not for punishing ourselves in any way. We're doing because Vishnu is satisfied when we do fasting, but not do too much fasting, only fasting that is recommended. Nobody's saying fast every other day or every week or something. Just fast as recommended by the scriptures. If you fast too much, that's also not recommended. So we want to fast enough to please the Lord. Sankirtan Yajna sacrifice is our protection from Kali. So 34. Yasmin Hari Bhagwan Ichyaman Ijyatam Muti Yajyatam Sham Danoti Kama Namogan Sthira Yangamanam Antar Bahir Vayu Avyesh Atma. So Yasmin, in such sacrificial ceremonies, Hari, the Supreme Lord, Bhagwan, the person of Godhead, Ij Manaha, being worshipped, Ij Atam, the soul of all worshipable deities, Murtahi, in the forms, Yajatam, those who worship, Sham, welfare, Tanoti, spreads, Kaman, desires, Amogan, inviolable, Sthira, Jangamana, of all the moving and unmoving, Antaha, within, Bahi, outside, Vahu, evil like, Aisha, of all of them, Atma, spirit, soul. So in all sacrificial ceremonies, although sometimes the demigod is worshipped, so now we're talking about sacrificial ceremonies, the Supreme Lord, personality of Godhead, is worshipped because He is the super soul of everyone and exists both inside and outside like the air. Thus it is He only who awards all welfare to the worshipper. It is even sometimes seen that the demigods like Indra and Chandra are worshipped and offered sacrificial awards, yet the rewards of such sacrifices are awarded to the worshipper by the Supreme Lord. And it is the Lord only who can offer all welfare to the worshipper. The demigods, although worshipped, cannot do anything without the sanction of the Lord, because the Lord is the super soul of everyone, both moving and non-moving. And this is what happened to Indra, that he actually forgot that who is the Lord of sacrifice and who is the sanctioner of all the benefits. He started thinking that he was Lord, and Krishna recognized that, had to had to check him and just to remind him, as we know, when Govardhan Leela. So sometimes we tend to forget this, our position. In Bhagavad-Gita 9.23, the Lord Himself confirms this in following shloka: Yapi anya devta bhakta yujante shardaya anvitaha tepi mam ev kunteya yujanti vidhi puvakam. So whatever a man may sacrifice to other gods, O son of Kunti, is really meant for me alone, but it is offered without true understanding. So there's no doubt, we cannot say, oh, somebody must have got this wrong, or, made a mistake, or there's something wrong here, it's a typo error, or something. Krishna himself is saying that, it's meant for me alone. The fact is that the Supreme Lord is one without a second. There is no God other than the Lord Himself. Thus, the Supreme Lord is eternally transcendental to the material creation. But there are many who worship the demigods like the sun, the moon, and Indra, who are only material representatives of the Supreme Lord. These demigods are indirect, qualitative representation of the Supreme Lord. A learned scholar or devotee, however, knows who is who. Therefore, he directly worships the Supreme Lord and is not diverted by the material qualitative representations. Those who are not so learned worship such qualitative material representations, but their worship is unceremonious because it is irregular. Okay, or who worship the demigods like the sun, the moon, and Indra, who are only material representatives of the Supreme Lord. So you have to be careful who you're worshipping, and who is God and who is not God, who is God and who is representative of God. So like this Durga Puja going on at the moment, it's no harm in that, but we have to recognize why we're doing, and what's the position when we are serving Krishna, when we're serving Durga Mata. What is their position? They are devotees of the Lord. For that reason we can give them respect, but we don't worship them as God Himself, because there's only one Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that's Krishna Himself. Only Krishna can give liberation. only Krishna can give benefits. The representatives have to go through Krishna to give you. They don't have the facility themselves. It has to be, or if they have the facility, they have been empowered by Krishna. That's what Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is trying to tell us, that the Supreme Lord, the cause of all causes, is Krishna, and there is no cause above Him. There are causes above Durga Mata and Lord Shiva or Indra, Chandra. Krishna is the cause above them, but there is no cause above Krishna. He is the ultimate. So that's 34. So our sacrifice, our surrender, and our worship should be directed at Krishna and not demigods. Vyasadeva first gave us Krishna indirectly, but he was not satisfied until he gave us Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and gave us Krishna directly. The soul does not have an eternal relationship with the demigods. Who is inside us? The super soul is Vishnu, is Krishna Himself, not any other demigod. It's Krishna Himself. He's the one who is overlooking everything and sanctioning everything. Yeah? Updrishta and Anumanta is Krishna, is Vishnu who is doing that, not any other demigod. So we have to understand that part, that Krishna is the ultimate, not anyone else. We can respect them, but always remembering that Krishna is the supreme. Sutavacha prakshitevyam adishtha sakale jat vipatahu tam udyatisam sim ahedam dandapanim ivodayatam. So Sutta Vacha, Sri Sutta Goswami said, Prikshita, by Maharaj Prikshit, evam thus adhista, being ordered, sahi Kali, the personality Kali, Jat Devas, Vipatahu, trembling, Tamhim, Udiyata, raised a same sword, Aha said, Idam thus, Dand Panim, Yamraj, the personality of death, Eve like, Udiyatam, almost ready. Sri Suta Goswami said, the personality of Kali, thus being ordered by Maharaj Parikshit, began to tremble in fear, seeing the king before him like Yamraj, ready to kill him. Kali spoke to the king as follows. The king was ready to kill the personality of Kali at once as soon as he disobeyed his order. Otherwise, the king had no objection to allowing him to prolong his life. The personality of Kali also, after attempting to get rid of the punishment in various ways, decided that he must surrender unto him, and thus he began to tremble in fear of his life. The king or the executive head must be so strong as to stand before the personality of Kali like the personality of death, Yamraj. The king's order must be obeyed, otherwise the culprit's life is in risk. That is the way to rule the personality of Kali, who create disturbance in the normal life of the state citizens. So soft as a feather and hard like a thunderbolt, depending on what you're going to use and who you're going to use it on. So the people must know that you're very soft, but they know if they misbehave, it can be like a thunderbolt as well. And how many of us can do that? We either just all thunderbolt or just feather, and you have to have bit of both. So Kali could not take advantage of Maharaj Parikshit. He was a Bhagavat king. Therefore, he had devotion, he had power, he had skills to subdue Kali. Srila Prabhupada explains that there is a way to rule the personality of Kali, agents, associates, representatives of Kali. There is a way, and Maharaj Parikshit is showing us. So thank you so much, and let's have a discussion on this. Stop sharing. Okay. Pundikaksh Prabhu, Hare Krishna, and thank you all for joining.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanat Pranam. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Again, I think these verses are so much of information. I thought these are small verses. Yesterday, I did read these verses yesterday when you put them on the group, Prabhuji, but there is a lot of information. A lot of instructions to be taken from these.
Yeah.
So one is like, however disguised one try to be, a bona fide Vaishnava will always be able to recognize them easily. So even though the Kali dressed like a king, Parshad Maharaj could easily recognize him. And good thing is he did not punish him, but he gave him a chance that you should not stay here because I cannot accept you. This is this is all established by great Pandavas already, and he has given value to the ancestors. And that's what I felt like when Krishna says, one is a devotee, fell down, I'll give them a chance in a family where it is virtuous family.
Yeah.
So Pavishad Maharaj coming from a great lineage, and here showing the example of his ancestors by not punishing him and giving him a chance as well again. So I was just remembering the past time in chapter in Canto 9, Bahuka, father of Sagara. Bahuka was defeated by his enemies, but Sagara did not punish them. Instead, he did not kill them, and he left them by giving them knowledge, but at the same time he gave them punishment also. He made half head shaved or half beard shaved, but he did not leave them just by saying anything. He did punish them also, because punishment is required to keep that in the mind and not to repeat the mistakes again and again. um, Consequence has to be faced by anyone who does the mistakes. And peace formula, Bhoktara Megidapsam Sarvalok Maheshwaram. Ultimate beneficiary of any sacrifice is Lord Vishnu. And that's all, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Kiran Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Yes, magical verses illustrating that, Kali is very pernicious, very powerful. pervades all aspects of society, life, and including penetrates within us. So Kali is very cunning and has got a hold of us as well. In spite of having the 4 regulative principles, we are subjected to the wills of Kali and Maya. And so we should be reminded time and time again that the Shastras, the Vedas, have impacted upon us and have imparted upon us, I should say, principles and values. And those principles and values, great kings, great emperors took on board, and they used them as a template and embedded them into their policies and procedures for ruling over their kingdoms. And Parikshit was no different. When he met Kali, he realized, what would my uncle, my relatives, Arjuna and Yudhishthira do in this situation? And so a good king or an emperor or a president or a prime minister reflects on those who have gone before him and makes a call and a decision. How should I act? And Parikshit was wise, as we should be wise, that Kali's bad behavior should be dealt with. Yes, Kali has admitted and surrendered. But we are very lenient in life and in society. A punishment should fit the crime. But such is the state of our nation, that you kill somebody, 10 years, you're out. Life for a life doesn't mean life in prison. You commit rape or you commit other criminal activities, 3-4 years, 3 meals in the prison, constant Wi-Fi, doesn't punishment fit the crime? When I was social working, some kids used to say to me, why is my brother being rewarded for bad behavior? Because they could go on quad bikes, they could go on all sorts of activities to curtail some of their behavior. But the child who did not perform those negative activities was not rewarded. So in society, bad behavior pays. And we need to get out of trying to get a quick fix, trying to get a quick bung to live off the state. No, make an effort. I used to get families telling me it's payday. Payday means you worked the whole month to get some money, to make an effort. No, it's payday because the state is paying me. What a ridiculous society we're in. And hence, we have to confront and challenge those stupid things that are happening in our lives and in our society. And we shouldn't become a part of that deception that Kali has put upon us. And correctly so, you did say we have a flight to catch. We made the preparation. We've got up, we got the passport ready, but we got to get to the airport and catch the flight. It's no good not making that effort. We're in prison, and like the primate, trying to catch the little fruit that's been put outside because the knuckle stops the fruit coming in or the key coming in. We have to find a way out. And we have to find that the path to liberation is embedded in the scriptures. And just 4 or 5 verses shows us the way out. This is our meal ticket. It's our prasadam. Take it, or else we will regret it. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hina Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna everyone. Thank you so much. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Just a couple of things for me. I just find it fascinating about how Kali personified, that whole concept of the age of Kali being personified is truly amazing, and how he bowed to Maharaj Parikshit and was compassionate towards him. And just thinking how Kali has a role to play in the Lord's plan. And to create this age of hypocrisy, quarrel, and irreligion. I know we moan about it, but there's a purpose behind this age, the purpose behind the Lord's plan, and the point around the purpose of our sacrifices, which ultimately all our sacrifices is meant to please the Lord, and he is the only true recipient. And it's ultimately him as well who sanctions everything. And I think it's really amazing how in the Bhagavad-Gita, as we know, even if people, the Lord is so merciful. Krishna is not a jealous God or a possessive God who condemns the worship of demigods. He appreciates if a person turns to a demigod and worships them. He doesn't condemn that, because that soul may have some material desires, and ultimately that's at least that soul's on a trajectory path to worship Krishna, to find Krishna eventually. So even the worship of demigods, the Lord is merciful, and he ultimately still sanctions the mercy to those demigods as well. So that was it. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Puri Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. It's like Mataji said, if this is Krishna's plan, everything is happening according to his plan. He's sanctioning everything. And we see Parikshit Maharaj, he's strong. But when Kali surrenders, because Kali, when he realizes, he can't stand in front of Parikshit Maharaj, he surrenders. And this also shows the power of the sincere surrender. And he's been forgiven, because even like they say, normal, ordinary Kshatriya will forgive. But this is Parikshit Maharaj, who's noble, courageous, so he forgives. But at the same time, he's not going to let him live in the kingdom. So these are the qualities of a leader. They have to see the truth, they have to show mercy, and they can't let the evil stay there. So, but unfortunately, in today's time, the true leaders, they don't really understand all this. So that's why we are seeing so much of everything, how everything is declining. So there is need of good leaders. And in the last few verses, again, reminded Krishna is the supreme, as we say, watering the roots. So we have to worship Krishna directly, and Sankirtan Yajna to be performed, everything to be done for the pleasure of the Lord. And everything is sanctioned by the Lord. It may appear, people think, yes, they're worshipping certain demigods and they're getting the results, but Krishna, he sanctions everything. So we just have to be truthful, devoted, and chant sincerely. And the other example, we're just reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, and we've seen again, the power of surrender. Amog, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's son-in-law, he blasphemes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just by saying, oh, why you're giving him so much food? It's enough for the 10 sannyasis, and he's going to eat all this. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and his wife, they were very upset and felt really bad, of son-in-law, and they even say the words like, oh, they wish he dies, and this, and and then Amog, he realizes as well, because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling Sarvabhauma not to be so harsh. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu forgives him, and he becomes a devotee. So that is the power of surrender and mercy of the Lord. So we just have to engage ourselves in the devotional service. And like you said, if somebody does bad to us, we just have to, see how we can make ourselves better. and not to fall to that standard. And truthfulness is very, very important. So we just have to be true to ourselves and true to the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Yeah, hard. Should be hard with ourselves and easy with others. Very important. Thank you, Mataji. Ajay Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Very informative verses. We talk about what is adequate punishment. And yes, in today's society, there's not adequate punishment for whatever's issues, crimes, at times it won't be crimes, at times just mean bad behavior. There needs to be some deterrent there. Naturally, the focus will be on education of young children. But as we've seen in these verses, we talk about administrative heads. So that's not young children. That's old people, really, because typically it's old people who will be in charge of society. That's in today's world. Obviously, most of the presidents are old men. Some will be old women as well. So there is that sense that if they don't behave in the right way, whether they're leading or they are being educated, then there's misbehavior. There needs to be checks in place. Likely, if somebody is, well, I compare the young and the old because in this case, children and old people, because they are very similar in a lot of ways. Their behaviors, their likes, their dislikes. And if they're allowed to just do whatever they want, then they're out of control. Then you get this situation where you get gully-like behavior happening. It needs to be put in place that they need to understand you just can't act out, you just can't say whatever you want, you just can't do whatever you want, and there will not be any repercussions. Because if you allow foolishness to continue, then you're the one who's actually enabling them. So you take some of the blame as well, you take some of the karma for their foolishness. And that's why it's so important, as in Maharaj Parikshit had the ability to be so benevolent because he was so powerful. He could allow the mercy, he could be merciful because he knew that if Kali did try to do anything again, he could check him. Unfortunately, a lot of us aren't that powerful. We kind of need to check the issue at hand. If you let them just get away with it again and again, then you might find you can't do anything after a while. It becomes so emboldened that it's just out of control. That's why the Kalis of this world, which is, we are in Kali Yuga, so we all have some tendency, if we're not careful, to be very much like Kali. It needs to be held in check. You just can't, just because somebody's very young, doesn't mean they can just do whatever they want. Somebody's very old, doesn't mean they can do whatever they want. They need to understand that ultimately it is all about service of Krishna, ultimately achieving love of Godhead. It's not our world, our rules to be followed. It's his rules to be followed. Until that sinks in, there's going to be misbehavior. At least with young children, there's hope that they can, redeem themselves. The old people, unfortunately, if they've ever learned throughout their lives that they can't just misbehave all the time, it's like, you can't teach an old dog to do tricks. It's hard for them to kick that bad habits. Bad habits become behavior. That's why it is so important to educate society from an early age. Now, it's not impossible to change your bad behavior when you're older. It's just harder. That's why when we see, giving this education out to the spiritual education out to the masses, it is so important it's done properly. Otherwise, we just end up with this current situation, people just threatening wars for the sake of threatening wars. You end up in just madness after madness, and you think, why is all happening? It's happening because you allowed the behavior to start in the first place. That's why it is so important that we push on with our behavior. That's good behavior. We need to be the example, because you can't preach if you're not following the actual Shastras themselves, actually living the kind of life a devotee is supposed to follow. If you do that, then others will follow as well. You need to keep that faith. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Yeah, just bring me back to what we were discussing earlier in the chapter about the spiritual master getting reactions, the mentor might get some reactions, because who is to blame? Like the bull saying, who is to blame? Has bad behavior been allowed to exist? It's like, so if you say that people are not punished accordingly, that means you encourage them to do bad behavior. So the reaction of their actions in the future should also go to the people who did not punish them sufficiently. So yeah, it makes good sense. Thank you so much, Radharani.
Hare Krishna, everyone. My pranams to all of you. Yes, the Kali has been prevalent for the last 5,000 plus years, and its tentacles are getting wider and sharper and getting hold on everybody through, to the virtue of, because we are living in the age of Kali, we are part of that system. Somewhere we are also to blame for our existence in Kali, that we must have done something, that we had to come into the Kali Yuga as the Jivas. But Lord has been so kind, so merciful, that He has provided us the way out also of all the vices prevalent in this age of Kali. But we have to remind ourselves again and again, because we are the Jivas of Kali. Kali Yuga, we have the good and the bad within us. The good also attracts the good, and the bad in us also gets attracted to bad very easily. It's so easy. So the 5 regulations, we have to follow them all the time and not think, the 4 regulations we have to follow all the time. A 5th, I would say, is our mind. We have to keep it in check all the time, and we have to, we should never think that, oh, why these 4 regulations, I'm getting punished, this, that. But when you look at the consequence of getting back as a Jiva in the Kali Yuga in the future, because Kali Yuga, still so much Kali Yuga is left, so that makes you worry that we don't want to come back here. We want to serve God in a better situation, better position, because the life is getting comfortable, the body is getting lots of comfort in the Kali Yuga at the moment. People don't have to work so hard, but the biggest faculty which is getting disturbed is the mind, because mind is getting too much to enjoy for, too much to look for. You've got so much to choose from when it comes to your food, your clothes, your entertainment. You press the button, everything is there at your disposal. Why? Because Krishna wants to test us every moment of the day. So if you're using your time for the wrong things, you feel bad end of the day, because if you have started to understand Bhagavatam, if you've started to understand the process, you'll have the guilt end of the day when you're going to bed, that, oh, I have wasted so many hours in wrong pursuits, I could have used them in right. So we have been given the punishment and the reward both within us, in front of us, around us in this age of Kali. It's up to us how we want to go about in our life, and do we want to get out of these cycles which Krishna reminds us, the Acharyas tell us in their books, in their sandarbhas, or we want to just come back again and again to the window shopping of this material world and still hanker for more and more. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Thank you all. So next Wednesday we'll have the overview to this. Nearly finished this chapter as well. 2 more chapters to go. And next with His Grace Dinabandhu Prabhu. So please do join. And if you have any questions in mind, something you didn't quite understand, we can ask Prabhu when he's giving the overview. So look forward to that. That'll be next Wednesday. So we still got Friday and Monday to finish this chapter. Then Wednesday we can have the overview. So thank you. Ganthraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Premanande. Hari. Thank you so much.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Hari.